I'm 90% sure the robot's voiced by Paul Rudd. Yeah, you guys confirmed that for me in the comments this last week. And if everybody doesn't know, it is Paul Rudd. And then they kill him again. Let's cut to a clip.
Howard said that Lester's Arconia paperwork got uploaded into the robot. So basically, we just have to get our hands on it. That was the robot, wasn't it?
What is happening, Nerdtectives? Welcome back to another episode of Nerds at Night. How is everybody doing out in podcast land? We're here. We're gathered for another week. We're doing the damn thing. I appreciate all of y'all for being here. You guys know what we're doing. We're talking all about... We just have to hop right in it because we've got a lot of show to cover. And again, it's because of y'all. Y'all blew up the comments, like tore it up. I owe an apology to some people. I didn't see some of y'all's comments until I was going through and taking screenshots of the comments. So my apologies. I'm usually really good about responding to every single one. Hopefully I caught screenshots of some and I'll respond to them here on the show. But I promise for this next week, I had a lot going on this weekend, but I promise for this next week, I'm gonna try to be more responsive to every single comment like I used to. I think that that's so important, and I do think it's such a lost opportunity to get to hang out with y'all when you comment on somebody's video and they don't comment back. I don't care how big of a channel, how small the channel you are. You guys make the show. Without y'all, there is no us. There is no content creators. There's no me. All right. Like, I'm going to be the only one watching my show at home. That's crazy, right? So it makes sense, I think, to just be responsive to y'all. I think that's a responsibility of content creators to y'all, is to express their gratitude by just, acknowledging. So for those people out there that I didn't respond to, my apologies, but I want to try and get to everyone this next week. So I'm going to go through with a bit more of a fine-tooth comb and get to y'all's comments. But it's because we have so many comments that we've got to start real quick. We're going to do a quick recap, do the clues, get to the comments. We've got so many, but I think some of them are a little bit shorter too. So that's always good. And I can get through those. And we've got some work to do on our suspect board, as maybe some of our comments have called out. So I'm excited. Just some quick thoughts though. How did y'all feel about this episode? Like, how did y'all feel about it? I'm gonna be honest. I got some laughs. There's some funny moments in this episode. But I did think that it just sort of, it didn't do everything I wanted it to do until the very end. Like, I was literally here with my pen and pad and I'm like looking and I'm like, yeah, but where are some clues at? Like, give me some. Yeah, I'm just trying to filter, trying to gather some clues. And they all piled on in the last 6 minutes. Like, we got bombarded with clues, which is great. That's what the show does sometimes. I think I've sort of likened the show in moments to like Game of Thrones, for any Game of Thrones friends out there. And even probably for one of your favorite TV shows, right? Because in the season, you can only do so much. But there are some episodes that are just, I don't want to call them filler episodes because they have a lot of content that the story needs to get it to the next part. And you've got to absorb that. It's just that there's some moments that are not as fun as other episodes. Like, I think episode 2, episode 3, like those are really, I think the season started off really, really strong. I liked last week's episode, right? I even said, I'm like, it started a little slow. And then we get to the end and you're like, ooh, there we go. So yeah. And not every episode can be fireworks from top to bottom. Sometimes you just need to we've got to get some more added to the story without giving out clues. We got to get some more world building. It's necessary, but that's the way I felt coming off of this. Not my favorite. It's not my favorite episode of the season. And it's not my favorite 5th episode of any particular season. I think back to episode 5 of last year, it's going. And then Marshall meets Glenn, and you're like, that's a weird interaction. What's going on there? Let's not think anything of it. You're trying to get some clues. Marshall's like, hey, maybe it's two killers. They're trying to run through the scenario. Oliver is. And then at the end, right, like the celebrities, and then Paul Rudd gets shot, and then you're like, oh my God, Zach Galifianakis, he's down. What's going on? It's chaotic by the end, and you're just like, what? What a great way to end. And it starts off too with Molly Shannon's character, the producer lady, with a gun. It starts off with her like pointing the gun, and you're like, oh my, how are they going to get out of this from the last episode? Like, it was nice and tense, and it was nice and clue heavy throughout the episode. So just to go back comparative, I enjoy that episode 5 in comparison with this, but that's just me. But I'm also intrigued now to see where they're going to go in episode 6, right? And we'll get some questions asked when we get some clues done about where they could go. We'll talk about it in our suspect list. We'll answer some comments and get there. But let me know your thoughts about this episode. How would you rank it? Maybe in this season, and kind of overall, like what is your feel for this particular episode? Again, I think we all have some particular non-favorite episodes, but that's neither here nor there. Everybody's opinion is very valid, and I think everybody could create reasons why this may be a really strong episode, or why this episode maybe win the best. So yeah, who knows? But like I said, we've got to go through this beginning part. We've got to go through this quick, because I really want to get to some comments, and I really want to get to the suspect board. We've got a lot of thinking to do, because if you've listened like I do to what's going on in the Reddit verse, and maybe what's going on Facebook, and I listen to a lot of other YouTubers as well, I'll be honest, don't nobody really know, who it is, why it is. There's not a good coherent thought as to like, it's exactly this. Like, nobody is standing on a particular answer and like defending it. Like, it's so switcheroo. And I'm in there. I'm in the same boat. I just want everybody to know, if you feel that way, yeah, it's kind of, man, there's some twirls and whirls, and it's very roller coastery. But I think through all that chaos, I do think we can find some answers. So let's start by recapping the episode, and let's get into some clues. This episode starts off with the trio showing Detective Williams around the casino, which is now cleaner than before. To investigate who could have done this, the crew splits up. Mabel and Oliver investigate the Arconia's service team, and Charles goes out with Sophia to investigate her. Mabel and Oliver find out the name Tommy the Tongue could be involved with the casino, and also find out the staff hates Lester the robot. Over dinner, Charles falls head over heels for Sophia and gets no info from her. Oliver and Mabel host a meeting to discuss the staff's concerns, and as chaos breaks out, the Lester robot is stolen and is tossed off the roof of the Arconia. The crew gets a creative board of clues about Lester from Miller the trash man, and Charles realizes he left his phone at Sophia's. The crew rushes to track the phone and finds out from Detective Williams the location they're headed to is the same location as Tommy the Tongue, which is a company, not a person. The crew arrives to the location and sees Sophia arriving to the same location, which is now revealed to be the home of Lorraine and Lester. Let's get into the clues. Our first clue is, what are the shots in the beginning of the episode in reference to? It shows us a house and a boat, but do these possibly belong to a character we already know? We next see a clean table in the casino with no more blood. We know this was in an effort to cover up the finger injury, but who did this? Also, where's the money that was there in the first episode? Also, why is there shrimp pieces in the casino? Also, once our crew speaks with Ursula, we find out the name Tommy the Tongue is mentioned. Now, if this was such a secret, why would Lester mention it to Ursula? Our next interesting point is we see the mayor again, so he's back on the radar, even if we didn't get a lot of time with him. He mentions wanting to make sound effects on the podcast, and Charles has to remind him their podcast is about murder. But didn't the first time the mayor met Charles, he mentioned he was a fan of the Only Murders in the Building podcast? Now this mixed match of podcast knowledge seems a little bit suspicious. Another interesting thing we see is Die Lester Die carved into the table. We find out Randall wrote that and it was supposed to be for Lester the robot. But if it's supposed to be for Lester the robot, wouldn't he spell it correctly? Or is he just not aware of the way that Howard would like him to spell it? And this is why the rest of the service people let him get away with this. If the downstairs staff didn't believe him, don't you think they would say something or do something? Next, going back to the restaurant, was Sophia being genuine, or is her motivation with with Charles something more devious? Also, are we counting the robot as another murder? Rest in peace to Lester again. Another also, as we find out Lester the robot has copies of the real Lester's documents uploaded inside of him. Do we think that will come into play before the end of the show? Our next potential big set of clues is the board that Miller the trash man gives to our trio. Besides the invoices, what else do you think our crew will find? Speaking of invoices, what do we know about the invoices that Charles finds, and what do they actually tell us? On one note, it says liquor, mixers, lots of maraschino cherries. This seems like a list you'd give to a party planner or a caterer. It's also interesting the invoices are made out to Tommy the Tongue. Tommy the Tongue is a company that also has the same address as Lester. Could this company potentially be the company that Lester was using to funnel all the money that Nikki was giving him on Saturdays? Besides potentially catering, do we also think that the Tommy the Tongue company could also do cleaning? And could this company be the one that cleaned the table, or was it someone else? Also, why was all the money removed from the Tommy the Tongue company? And by the end of the episode, we have to ask ourselves, are the wives at the end of the show really into something devious? And even if it's not devious, how do Lorraine and Sophia know each other? We can immediately mark off Sophia being a daughter of Lorraine. As we know, when Lorraine met Lester, it would have been potentially 32 years ago, which means they could have potentially been married 32 years. And as we know, with Sophia having a 36-year-old, she's definitely not 32. So again, how do they know each other? Also, just some quick notes from season 4, episode 10. There's a mention of Sophia saying she didn't see a doorman.
I hope it's okay. I was upstairs looking for you. There was no doorman on duty. I took a shot.
How would she know the Arconia has a doorman? The only way to know that is if she's been there more than once. Also, she mentions to Charles and Mabel that she pays well.
I pay very well.
But then the next time they see her, she mentions that she's having money troubles. So which is it? And last point from episode 10 is we remember that Oliver said that he would move to New Zealand for Loretta, which is now a great tie-in to this recent episode and why he's entertaining offers about selling his spot at the Arconia. Nerdtectives, that's all the clues that I found, but let me know if there's any clues you think I missed, something I could have overlooked, something that was happening in the background, a line, a keyword, anything. I could have missed it. I could have missed a lot, but I definitely think we've got a good list going forward of things to keep in mind and why we should rank people certain ways. But I always love to hear from y'all because I'm simply just the world's most okayest detective at the end of the day, and I need y'all's help. So go ahead and blast a comment. Let me know something I missed. Let me know if you caught any of the particular clues that I caught as well. I know there's some that are probably like on everybody's list, but I think there's some that were kind of overlooked. And again, we have to kind of keep everything in mind because it seems like collectively as an internet group, nobody really has this one figured out. So like, let's be the first ones to do it. I think we can do it. Speaking of something we like doing together, you guys did it again for another week. Raised the bar, blasted the comment section out with more comments than the previous week. You guys are awesome. You guys are literally incredible. I think I probably have some of the best fans collectively all on YouTube. So just I'm probably going to say this often, much like I did last season. You guys are incredible. You guys are amazing. Let's get to you guys' comments. Let's not, like my grandma says, let's not fart around, right? Let's get right to it. Our first comment comes in from Chris Dumphy 1073. Okay, who was the caterer? The finger was in the shrimp cocktail. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see if it was Tommy the Tongue. I'm thinking so far from that list, right? Like you have a list of like alcohol, you write an invoice. It just makes sense that you're writing an invoice that we paid this person this amount of money to this company and they're providing this service. There sounds like some drinks are involved. There's probably another invoice for something else, party related. I'm guessing, this is just my guess, but I'm guessing that Lester used the Tommy the Tongue company as a catering service. And I'm going to guess that catering service has something to do with this next episode. That's his business. That you can't just be having all this money and put it in the bank and then be like, yeah, they just gave me extra bonus every week. Like, no, you got to like establish something. And like, maybe now that I'm talking about it, maybe that's why they pulled all the money out of the account. They're like, oh, business shut down. We just need money. No more Tommy the Tongue, right? Because Lester's dead. I'm going to think that that's what it is. And if that's the case, then somebody on the catering crew had to have seen this. Have we met them? Have we not? I don't know, but I think that's going to come up in this next episode, but that's a great question. Our next question comes in from failed film students. Yo, not to spam you, but I just heard an epic theory. So let's say Nikki was killed first. Lester was getting pestered by Oliver about the shrimp cocktail. Lester goes to check on the shrimp and finds Nikki in the freezer. Wow. Yeah, I think that's an incredible theory, because we know that they at least died somewhere in the same time, if they're wearing the same clothes that we saw in the picture, the wedding picture, right, from Oliver's wedding. So we at least know they died around the same time. I do think too that maybe something happened to Nikki, whether he found him in the freezer or whether he saw like the killing and was just like, oh my, I got to get out of here. Like, who can I tell, you know? But that would be interesting, right? He's going to go get the shrimp, finds a lot more than he bargained for. That would be, and that makes sense too. That would be maybe in the Arconia freezer. Maybe. I'm going to say maybe, because somebody out there is like, no, that don't make no sense, because wouldn't the Arconia staff be like, hey, there's a freaking body in here, bro. What do we do? Like, is this what we're serving up? Like, what? Like, what is going on here? I wonder if you know, they brought it to the Arconia freezer. There's got to be a freezer there. There has to be, because like they're holding food for a while. Didn't they hold food for Oliver? They held his shrimp and then he finally got him. So there's a freezer somewhere. Is that the same freezer Nikki was in? I don't know. Who went to go get the shrimp? Was that the same person that went to go find the bot? Like, a lot of questions. I do like that theory, though. A lot, failed film students. Our next comment comes in from Pat Zumach 3425. The murder board is missing after the remodel. Yeah, it is. And we don't see it. Isn't that interesting? And who was in there with her crew? Camilla, who was high on my list last week. Camilla. Let's just see if they come back to Oliver's place and he has it somewhere. Maybe they put it somewhere, like, because they did that like magic, you know, on screen, like, oh my God, the renovation had happened in like 30 seconds. You know, they're living a little bit of a fantasy-esque type thing. So maybe somehow he has it. But that's interesting. If we don't see it again, that'd be interesting if they bring up like, oh, Oliver, where's the board? Oh, I hadn't seen it since Camilla, since she did, right? Like, if they bring that up, what a great thought. And I think a couple of people pointed out in the comments, but like, it's got to be talked about, because either it is missing for sure and it's something that's going to be brought back up, or it's something they'll find it's in another room, just like everything probably got moved out of that room. You know, I don't know. We'll see where the show goes. Our next comment comes in from Gloria 1950. I'm thinking there may be another entrance to the gambling room. And another elevator. Horse carriages were usually kept on the ground floor, but there is an elevator to carry the horses to a higher floor. They were kept on a different floor to save the space. Cheaper to go up rather than build a wide in-carriage area. They could also be used for service and freight. They used rope pulleys too. Didn't Nikki have rope burns on him? That'd be interesting. I did mention, right, there has to be another entrance, right, that we're not aware of. I mean, if there's not, whatever, right? But like, it just makes sense. This makes sense, right? Doesn't that make sense? Like, the horses ain't gonna come down the stairs, right? And if let's say this, if Lester the robot has something to do or was around the time, because we don't know, like, we know he came in, but like, maybe he was there, you know, I don't know, but like, if he went downstairs, I've heard some people say, like, we think Lester the robot cleaned, you know, the room. How's it getting down, bro? You gonna go down the stairs? You ever seen a robot with wheels go down the stairs? I mean, it's probably happened in a science fiction movie and it looked really cool, but I don't think this one's doing it. You ever seen the movie Blank Man? You ever seen J5 go downstairs? He just tumbles. Like, he just tumbles down the stairs. It's very... It's not graceful at all. If there was like a dumbwaiter, something like that, like an elevator space, a big one, that could explain how the Lester the robot could go downstairs. That could explain how these billionaires are going down. You know, again, they're not just walking through the hallways. There's got to be another entrance. So I'm a big fan of this. And it logically, think about it, everybody. This logically makes sense. If they did tell us the history of the Arconia, these used to be horse stables. How they getting down? right? How are they getting down? They're not all trotting down the stairs one by one, you know? Our next comment comes in from Jordy Barguno. Based on some of the things you just said, what if Lorraine gave him the ledger because she needs help deciphering it? Because the crank opens a secret safe in the casino or in the building itself. See, I really do like this idea. I think we talked about it last week. Somebody mentioned it, the crank opening a safe. It's a really smart idea if they did that. I do think too, Lorraine wanted to get rid of the ledger because maybe she couldn't decipher it. She seemed to know though what birds are what people, but I think besides that, maybe she thinks there's something else in there that could help solve, right, who killed her husband. Maybe she just doesn't have the tools to be able to do it. And that'd be weird just to give it to Randall because like, he's going to figure it out. Like maybe she figures he hung out with him long enough for a week. Maybe he knew some things, you know, I don't know. But she knows the trio does a lot of investigation. Maybe she knew that they would get their hands on it, but why not just give it to them directly? Be like, hey, my husband died. There might be some notes in here for y'all. Like, why not just do that? That's the only thing that's a little, let's get some answers in this next episode. That's the only thing that's a little tentative for me. You know what I mean? Our next comment comes in from Melanie Monroe 6696. My feeling is that the billionaires are more like the Westies from the last season. They seem suspicious, but it was something else they were hiding. Maybe there are new Westies, or maybe the secret is that they're hiding is they know who the killer is. Like, and that's a big secret. Like, yeah, the Dudenoff thing last time, that was a big thing, and it semi was adjacent to and kind of correlated to, but it didn't explain Saz all the way. It was just like an adjacent point. I think the billionaires have a tighter secret, and we'll talk about it on the suspect board, but I'm still keeping my eye on one of them. So what a great comment right there. Our next comment comes in from Thomas Rafferty 7184. Is Mabel's wardrobe significantly more stylish this season? Yeah, she got that Hollywood money, bro. That's how she can afford all of her little fancies in her new apartment. Yeah, she's styling and profiling, and I like it. I think it's so Mabel. I think it looks so great. What a great little touch for the writers and the set designer to keep in mind. They're like, she's got money now. Like she can buy a whole bunch of like nice stuff, you know? Great comment right there. Our next comment comes in from Khan21. I'm 90% sure the robot's voiced by Paul Rudd. He's been a reoccurring actor in a few seasons already. Yeah, you guys confirmed that for me in the comments this last week. And if everybody doesn't know, it is Paul Rudd. And then they kill him again. Let's cut to a clip.
So basically, we just have to get our hands on it. That was the robot, wasn't it?
That oh no, as he's falling. I said this episode, it had some good funny moments. That one made like legitimately like I busted out laughing. I was like, bro. He's going down using a little T-Pain voice right now. Oh, oh no. That was hilarious. That was utterly hilarious. But yeah, the robot is voiced by Paul Rudd. Will he be the voice of the next one? Like, is it just a segment of robots? They all have the same voice. We're going to find out because we got another robot on the way. Our next comment comes in from Mummy2Bob. I also think that it's out of character for Mabel to sign the contract so quickly without reading it. Yeah, right? Like, she's usually the one that does all the fine print and be like, hey, fellas, like, did you catch this? We shouldn't do this. I also think, like, they mentioned they sent it to these guys' lawyers or attorneys or whatever. What a horrible job they did without like letting them know. Like they should have at least gone in here and been like, yeah, we know that you guys just got new stockholders, whatever. We can't sign this, right? Or we need the stipulation, something. But like, yeah, it's a bit and not very Mabel-y right there, Our next comment comes in from Carla Nacion 9967. Why does Jay say Nikki was a mobster found hanging in his cleaner when Oliver was the only one who saw him hanging? Yeah, that's a great point. But we have to think about that's how the cops would have, like, it's one of two things, right? That's how the cops reported it. They said that that's how they wanted to report it, that we got a report that we saw him hanging, right? Because that's what he was doing. They would have reported it. The news would have heard about it. This is sort of the context that I'm getting. And I think there was a line in there too that they were like, yeah, that's what the news said. Somebody says that like around that time where they're talking about the body. So I think it's like from the news, they're gathering it. But if it does come up again as clues, like, and Mabel or Oliver or Charles is like, hey, you mentioned that he was hanging, but Oliver was the only one who saw him that way. When I left him there, he was not hanging. Hey, something, like I don't know. I don't know. It's either going to go one of two ways, but it's a good catch. I just think that there is an explainable piece of logic to cover that track, so it's not as suspicious as it could be. But it's a real good catch. Our next comment comes in from Domo1371. The ain't ish. The paparazzi was saying Bloody Mabel when they saw them both in the lobby. She 100% knew about the podcast and what she was doing by moving into the building. I'm saying though, right? Like, yeah, she has to have known. She has to have known. Like, it was like the biggest podcast it's been in their universe for the last couple years. They're so big that they made a movie again. Like, imagine on your news, at least it's coming on your Yahoo feed or whatever you get, news from. But like, hey, this podcast, they're making a movie about it, and these folks are going to Hollywood. There were so many photographers there. Remember when in episode 1 when they go to the party? Like, people know, like, and especially again, if you're in the business, like, you kind of got to know what's going on. Agents, managers, word comes around, yada, yada. Maybe she wanted to be a guest, or the manager wanted her to be a guest. I don't know, but I do agree. Like, she had to have known. And if she doesn't know, it just seems so like, what? Are you sure? Like, are you sure? I think a story arc is she's going to admit that she does know and just really wanted to, she's got her feelings hurt and just, hey, I wanted to come here and I did want to show off, but, hey, like, my bad. I think that's going to be a story arc. She could be a bad guy, she could not be, but at least that's going to be part of her story arc. She's going to be like, yeah, I was jealous and, I wanted to move in and show, remember, we didn't get along, whatever her little story is. But I think it's going to come full circle in that way. So yeah, for sure. Our next comment comes in from Lucy C3681. I'm thinking the robot is there to spy on the trio and the Arconia in general, and it was put there by Bash and the billionaires. Yeah, I totally agree. Spying may be a harsh word, but at least it's recording information. It is keeping an eye, right? It is like Hal from, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's always watching, and it's keeping an eye, and it's keeping a track on people. What does it know? And will it turn out to whatever it knows? Will that information turn out to be something that is the most useful piece of information the trio needs to solve this case? So maybe it was put in there for nefarious purposes, but I think it's going to turn out like, oh, snaps, you solved this one thing that's going to lead to this other thing that we kind of already knew, and we can put all this information together. But I still think too, like, right, it has to be Bash's company. Like, it has to be. I do. It, that's not, nobody, is confirming that or whatever. Like, there's nothing in the show that's directly pointing to that, but like, come on, the robot guy makes robots. Like, the technology guy does technology shit. That's a guy, right? Our next comment comes in from TMTB80. Oh yeah, and Lorraine is a vampire. Come on, we've all seen The Lost Boys. Oh my God, dude. I forgot she played the mom. I'm never going to watch this show the same again. What a great call out. Our next comment comes in from This Is Abstract. Whoever picked up the crank and used a small plastic bag looks like it was some sort of a dog bag. We saw Jay has a dog, also Howard, of course. And who else would have dog bags? I think you'd have to rewatch it. It could have been a normal trash bag. It could have been a dog bag. And now we have a new set of suspects that we have to eyeball. I wonder, right? And even there are some parks where they have the trash bags, like, my park around here where people walk their dogs. They have a little station where you can just grab a doggy bag. It's a good note, right? And something to keep in mind. I don't think because we have an exact make on the bag, we can directly point to dog bags, but I do think it is something to like, yeah, it could be, could that could be the case. It was Jay walking his dog at that time and had the crank. I don't know. It's a good thought, though. Oh, the homie right here, Filmer Dude 24, Ivan Montero. Everybody go follow his YouTube channel. We're the ones that did the episode where we broke down episode 5 trailer. We did the whole breakdown and predictions and stuff. Everybody go follow him. He's dropping some great knowledge and some great breakdowns every week. And I think his episode will probably come out, if not when this one comes out, right shortly after. So everybody go follow him. He's the homie right there. But Filmer Dude says, my money is still on George the doorman. Call me crazy, but it's George and he made himself younger like Bash has. We talk very often about this show. We're in cahoots together. We as soon as he watches an episode, he's like, bro, okay, let's talk. We like nerd out continuously all day, every day, especially as the show goes on. And yeah, the thought of George actually being Bash using his sort of, anti-youngish, the whatever he's because he's what, like 100 years old at least or something, like, and he looks not 100. He's very old, like, right, like he's just very, very old. Could he have gotten surgery or something and now he's taken on this, I don't know. It's something to think about. It still keeps George in the mix, as we brought him up last week. And I said, if we see George again, he's going to be so old. We're probably going to have to discount him. But he popped up on my list too. Me and Filmer Dude talked about this. He's got a stronger theory about it than I do. Let's see how it plays out, though. Also, love you, Filmer Dude. Can't wait to see your next breakdown. One quick notice: I don't usually like to read 2 comments from one person because I like to spread out the commenting from everybody. But this one sort of stood out. And also, I want to try and read a whole bunch of small ones and one big one at the end. So just keep that in mind. The big ones do take a little bit longer. They're a bit more meaty. So there's a lot more to go through. But yeah, I do realize this person wrote a comment previously, but it's really something to think about here. And I don't hear a lot of people going into it this deep. So let's get right into it. All right, this comment comes in from Melanie Monroe 6696. So my current theory is Randall killed Lester to try and get the casino doorman job, and Nikki caught him. Then cut off his finger as punishment. Then Randall got the cleaver off Nikki and killed him with it. The mayor and Randall know each other somehow, and the mayor helped him cover it up. But someone here just mentioned a theory that Lester found Nikki dead when he went looking for Oliver's shrimp, which seems like it's a really good theory, and why he was running so scared and looking. The only thing is the time. Oliver was texting Lester about the shrimp earlier in the evening, I think from 5:32 p.m. to 8:14 p.m. shown on the text. The game doesn't start till midnight. We know everyone should have been alive based on the ledger putting 4 people in the casino. Would Lester have checked for the shrimp after midnight? Probably not, since the party was over. The CCTV footage shows Lester running through the lobby at 4:42 a.m. So Lester is kind of MIA from Oliver's text at the reception to Sophia finding Charles and Mabel after the party is over and saying there was no doorman, and then the next time we see him is at 4:42 a.m. The timeline makes me think Lester definitely died after Nikki, though. It's worth mentioning if Sophia said there were no doormen, where was Randall also? Like I said, super duper meaty, a lot going on and a lot to unpack. This connects the dots as best as I've seen anybody attempt to try and do it in a logical way that makes sense. And Lester, I think we've all agreed maybe Lester finding Nikki is sort of what happened, or seeing something and then runs away. It's later into the night. Like, there's a lot of facts in there. There's a lot to unload in there. I'm not just trying to give y'all the snickle fritz. I'm trying to give y'all the real stuff. And I really thought that comment, if we think about it, like, yeah, we've only seen Randall with gloves on. And I get it's a doorman thing, but like, we've only seen him that way. Like, what if he was talking to himself in the closet, not because he's a cop, but because like, oh my God, I know what I did. And that's why he's so nervous. And that's why he's so, oh my goodness. And he has to know someone in power so that way they can move the body and, but why are they covering for him? I like the mayor, explanation that could make sense. Maybe he used to work for the mayor. Maybe he used to have Romy's job or something like that. And Romy's new, I don't know, but like, there's a lot going on in here. Maybe he monitors the freezer. And he was the one who was like, okay, here's the time we can get rid of the body and nobody will find it. I don't know how much power he has as a doorman, but I do know there's a lot of things that could logically play out and make sense. And this comment's really, really good. So thank you again for that awesome comment. Let's get to the last few right now. Our last 2 comments coming from Loretta 3203. Should the mayor's assistant be on the board? Next comment comes in from Sherry 7054. Why aren't Nikki's sons listed on your board? Loretta, Sherry, those are great questions. You know what we should do on that note? Let's go to our suspect board. Loretta, Sherry, what great comments you had to let us right here. It was like the perfect segue. I saw those comments and I was just like, I had to do it. And I realized probably at home, everybody's like, oh my God, more comments. And then they do it. You're like, all right, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You think about the show. But yeah, we do have 2 suspects that have not been placed, and we need to start fixing them up on the board and see where they're going to shake out. So let's start off with the Mafia boys, the Catch Emilio boys. Let's go ahead and put them on maybe, right? And I know, I think I know after last week, there was a lot of talk like, oh, I think the trio will come on their podcast if they want to talk smack about the billionaires because the billionaires don't control that podcast. These guys want them on there. They'd be more than happy there. Even they were like, you guys going to collab with us? You know, like that'd be great. That's like something they'd be into. We'll just put them at maybe because they have enough muscle. Let's think about this. They have enough muscle to kill somebody, like collectively, drag somebody with rope, get them with a cleaver, you know, be real nasty, be real grimy, right? And they'd have savvy enough to put the body in the dry cleaners and then have savvy enough to tell the cops, hey, blame it on the Caputo crime family. When's the only other time that we heard the Caputo crime family come up? Not last season, but in this season, it's when these guys are doing deep dives on their podcast about the Caputo crime family, right? Now that I say that, like I was a little like about it. Now I'm like, oh shit, like they might actually be involved. They did freak out a bit. That the reason I was a bit like, I don't know. They did freak out a bit when they saw the finger. Like they acted like, ooh, squeamish, you know. So I don't know if that's like something like up their alley. But now that I'm thinking about it, they are kind of sus, you know. They would have some sort of ties to some sort of organized crime, perhaps. You know, maybe they haven't let on about it, but like they know a lot, and maybe they could use their parents' connections. The mom obviously comes from a mafia background. Why wouldn't they just contact somebody in the family? Hey, we've got to get this done. How do we do this? I don't know. Now I want to move them higher. Now I want to move them higher, but like they don't know enough about the Arconia, and we don't have a motivation for why they want to kill their dad unless they, oh shit. Yeah, we do. They want to take over the family business. They want to take over running the casino. Ooh. I'm still going to leave it maybe, but y'all give me some solid reasons in there. I really want to move them up. Give me some solid reasons for them. You know, now that you're hearing it, are you believing it? Are you starting to, they're pointing the finger to Mrs. Cachemira. They're pointing the finger to Lorraine. None of that. That's all a bunch of malarkey. I want y'all to follow a channel. Miss Everything is Fine. I'm going to tag her maybe in the comments or maybe even in the description. I did it last year. She has an incredible show, like breakdown about this. She releases them really quick, way more quicker than I do. But it's not as, you know, many edits and stuff, but she has like really, really good thoughts about the show. I want everybody to go ahead and follow her because she said exactly what I'm about to say. The whole Cachemira Lorraine thing, the Sophie and Lorraine thing, that's a crock of shit. Like that ain't it. That's I don't think that's going to lead anywhere. I'm going to remove, now that I say it, I'm going to remove Sophie to highly suspicious because she's not exactly clean, but I don't think she committed the murders. I don't think that they're not going to do that in episode 6, right? They're not just going to be like, here you go. We're going to spend the rest of it just trying to figure out who their finger belonged to, right? Like, I don't think they're going to do that. So she's going down because of that reason. And she should go down on your list. Like we're going to figure out what the legal reason or what the real reason is she's going to visit. And it might not even be anything to do with the business. It could just be like all incidental timing. They're like, oh, we found this out. Oh my God, she's here. Oh my goodness. Connect the dots. They love doing the trio, love doing that, connecting dots when there ain't no dots that need to be connected. Like they're like, oh, you're just doing this. Duh, right? Duh. But she also was still a little, she can't go down further. She was still acting a little weird at dinner with Charles and still acting a little like, did anybody else catch like when the mayor told her hi? Like you're like, oh, bro, do y'all know each other? Is there y'all doing some wheels and deals? Y'all doing a little wheeling and dealing? I don't know, you know. And also too, she could stand to gain if she did know what happened to her husband's business. She could stand to gain the casino, and if she knows about it, you know. So I don't know. She can't go down any further. But that leaves us with somebody else that needs to go on the board. And there is Romy right there, the mayor's assistant. What a great picture, right? You have to zoom in on your YouTube, but trust me, it's a great screenshot. No, it's not a great screenshot at all. She's like making a funny face. I'll move her to maybe, just because if the mayor is involved, she's got to be involved, right? Like that just has to be it. She hasn't had any speaking lines though. And are we going to do the like assistant, you know, thing again? Oh my God, it was the assistant. And like, how would she overpower? Well, like, what is Like, how would she overpower Nikki? Like, what does she stand to gain? We'd need some full-on background. I'd need a little bit more to move her higher. I'll move her to maybe for right now, like just for shits and gigs, like, yeah, that's fine with me. She is a bit weird, but also in the back of my head, if there was like a low maybe, like I want to put her between probably not and maybe. I wish there was a subsection right there. That's where I'd move her to, because like I don't think she really was involved, and they would have given her a little bit more to do than just like no lines. So I don't know, but because y'all called it out, we have to put them on the board. Let's keep going through the rest of this real quick. We still got Randall, highly suspicious. What do y'all think about? Should he be there along with Thee? I feel like Camilla needs to be there. There's something going on with those gloves, and we know why we moved Sophie here. She got to be there, right? But Randall, even after this episode, die, Lester, die, and you spelled it the other way. My dude, like that theory from earlier is starting to make a little bit more sense. I don't know. He's either a cop or he's in on it. One of the two. Gotta be one of the two. I don't know. We'll leave Bash. We'll leave Jay. Lorraine, we'll leave her until further notice, but we're going to find out some sort of secret, in the meantime. We'll leave Howard. We're going to find out, I think, some stuff about Lester, and I think we're going to have to move him on down. I'll leave him there for y'all. I like to, as much as I like to do stuff, I'm like, the audience is speaking. Let's team up together as if we were in the same room. I'm not going to be like, it's my project. I'm not going to do that. Right. Like it's a cross collaboration, and, till further notice, let's just leave Lester there. He probably didn't do anything, but let's just leave him there. Vince Fish is probably not. Loretta, I think we're seeing in the next episode. So far, probably not. George, I'm still going to leave it. Probably not. Little old Lester the robot. Jeez. I want to put him in no way, but like also how long has he been in the Arconia? Like, and what does he know? And what's he been doing? I don't know. And there's another show. I want to say it. Should I say it? Y'all think I should say it? All right, I'm going to say it, but just cover your ears for like 10 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Cover your ears for 10 seconds. You don't want to know the spoiler about something. There's a show called Murder at the End of the World, and it ends up being AI. Okay, we're back. But on that show, they did that, and that was also a Hulu show. So are they going to do that again? They're going to do the robot did that. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that, because I'm sure the writers from here watched the other shows. I'm sure they're well informed. So we'll leave him and probably not for now. And then we've got our trio. In no way. There was a theory of mine that I did think of, and it's rather crazy now, but we knew that Charles was taking some medicines. And I was like, what if Charles was like sleepwalking and like he chased down Lester and like, like did this stuff, and he was all because he's sleepwalking, taking these meds. That'd be crazy. But they gave a great explanation for the testosterone, for whatever medicine he was taking, for whatever experimental medicine he was taking. I didn't even mention that to y'all until now, because sometimes I get crazy, but I don't like to get too crazy. I like to keep it well within the bounds of like what actual reality could be. But what do y'all think about the suspect board? What do y'all think about this list? Where would you put people? Let me know if people are going to go higher or lower on your list. Also, is there anybody you think we're missing? I heard a theory about it's maybe Nona from the first episode. She's wearing gloves. She knows how to use knives. Whose mother is that, though? We don't know if it's Sophia's mother. We don't know if it's Nikki's mother, right? Like they don't really know. So I don't know. But I didn't want to put her yet. We also haven't seen her yet. You know my rule. Like at least let me see you twice, and then we'll get you on here. But y'all, that is the suspect board. That is the show. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Let me know your favorite moments, any favorite lines, anything that happened that you really enjoyed about this episode. Again, any clues, any suspects, any theories. I want some crazy theories. That was a good one we read. I want some good stuff like that. That's like really like, ooh, yeah, that could be. And I think with this next episode, we'll get some answers to some things that I think a lot of people are assuming about Lorraine. And I think we'll get some more clues that will help us at least know that our suspect board's on the right path, or we're like, you know what, we need to nuke it. We got to start from the bottom, and we've got to like redo this entire thing, because everything we thought about, it's not that. So I do want to apologize for getting this out a little bit later than usual. Life happens. I aim to have these out on Thursday, like in the morning, but sometimes it don't happen that way. But I try to do my best. It usually, just to give you context, to do this with the clips and all this and the editing, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to edit an episode like this. And sometimes I like to get some sleep if I record really late. Like right now, it's 1:17 a.m. going into Thursday morning. So my bad, but I am going to try and have this out to you as soon as possible. I do really work hard to try and have a great community with y'all, have some great breakdowns, and have some great discussion points. So I look forward to hearing from all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. Please help out the channel. We love you for it. You've helped us grow. And if you're already doing all the YouTubey stuff, follow our other channels, Drunk Banthas and 9 Nerd Yards. They are our associate channels. We love them, and they would love to hear from you about the stuff that they're covering. In the meantime, though, Nerdtectives, y'all be good. Y'all stay safe. Y'all do some great rewatching. I look forward to hearing from y'all next week. If you have any thoughts prior to me releasing the next episode, feel free to come to this comment section, write it down, and we'll read some comments about the current episode going on. But yeah, this has been a great episode. Thank y'all so much. I need to go to the Nerd Cave and get to editing right now. But in the meantime, though, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, I do appreciate you. And until next week, I will see ya. Peace.